Facebook and I put something in the September Friends group.
When I tried, it was like 2 or 4. Well, like 7 or something.
You know, you can check it later.
Kind of anxious for we started.
Worried that the people who will be.
That's a them problem.
How many nights are there?
We got there Monday night and we left Friday morning.
It's a good whole weekend.
Yeah, we stayed in Madison Sunday. So somebody's sitting there. Kids.
90 or
94. Yeah.
Then we came back through Iowa.
Back through Iowa.
74. So friends, they just got back.
So much just there was so many big.
I know, it doesn't clean them up. I tell people,
Well, we see them a couple times, but they so much
the state and county highway department, they take prizes.
So we don't have money for
my daughter was on the band. She was
Carrie,
and they were heading down to going to New Orleans. No, her band, we're all band.
it's so wonderful that the Ice Fidget United Center were on it as well, and so they made photographs of me on their website.
And they hit like a dog. They went over something like a dog. She jumps out. They killed the alligator.
I only marginally know
And
people
it
because I'm
killed
an adjunct.
rest of their,
So, but I mean, I know.
their traction.
I know like two people. The only two people that are still in the seminary that were there when I was back in school was Cindy Johnson and Rhonda Pearson.
It's a yelping position.
Rhonda works in
And they're all,
so.
no, they're fine.
I highly endorse it.
But they don't have a
Take a class, but you don't get credit for
or
it.
anything. They're keeping everybody.
I audited. I had 2 doctorate degrees. So, but it was really amazing. I don't know if the same professor was teaching it, but she was actually in the Vatican teaching us.
Daughter was right.
Jim, do you need another minute?
I'd be looking at that the whole service.
Yeah, well, if you don't, Kelly will make sure that.
And
I have so many maternal, well, I was gonna say moms, but maternal influences.
Whoever you are.
us in person, and welcome to all who are joining us online or watching the recording. We're glad that everyone is here. My name is Brian, my pronouns are he, him, and I have a few announcements to share, and then I'll open it up for any announcements from the congregation. So we have our guest speaker today is named Jeffrey, and he's going to be speaking to us on the topic of grief. So we welcome you to our midst, and we're glad that you're here with us. Next Sunday, we're going to have Lorna Hofregi, I think is how we say her last name, from Hospice. She's a friend of Peg's, and so she's going to be coming and continuing sort of this theme of grief and all of the things that we've been talking about. So we're really glad that she's going to be joining us as well. If you are interested in being on the team that chooses and helps facilitate people giving us ideas for speakers, please see myself or Carrie. We'd love to have you in the group to expand all of the options that we have for all of our guest speakers. Just as an FYI, I think everybody here knows this, but we don't hold any hostages, so if you need to leave, even though we try to keep the service to an hour, because there's a lot of moving parts, sometimes it goes a little bit over. So if you need to leave, please do so. And do I still read the announcement about the Ukrainian family? Okay. Just want to make sure. And then, are there any other announcements from anyone in the congregation? Kathy?
Come up here so people don't have to crane their necks. So we are going to do, through the United Way, they're doing some collection for folks moving from homeless shelters to their own place to live. And so they have a certain number of, they have scripted things to donate, I guess is the best way to say it. So if anybody wants to donate money or things to that, there is a link in the newsletter to the list of items, or you can get money to myself, and then we will, oh yay! We will get, and I think I might have a volunteer for Friday. I could use another one. Oh, I've got 2 volunteers for Friday to help me turn the money into items, and then we have a drop-off location. The other donation thing is that Open Door Pantry is doing some shutdown Saturdays where they're adding hours and like takeaway bags that people can come get in response to the shutdown and the SNAP benefits being discontinued. So they desperately need money. The volunteer things are filling up pretty well. Jim and I are going to volunteer, I think, the 2nd or 3rd Saturday in November. Yeah, so.
It's our retreat day.
Okay, then it's not that Saturday.
Whichever. It's the pleasant day.
But there's also links to that in the newsletter, or you can get money, again, to one of us, and we'll make sure it gets to Open Door. So those 2 things. Thank you.
Thanks.
So the theme for our solstice celebration is going to be embracing the stillness. So if you have songs or poems that you think might be good for this service, please get them to me and we'll try to include them in.
And that'll be the 3rd Friday of December, which I think is December the 19th, right? Which reminds me, another thing that I wanted to mention is that after an overwhelmingly positive response last year, we're going to do the UU Advent sort of ritual celebration for the 4 Sundays before Christmas, which begins, can't believe it's this soon, on November the 30th. So we'll be lighting a candle every Sunday, and the solstice as part of that as well. So we're excited about that. Other announcements?
Oh, I got one. Since we're all since Halloween is over, I want everybody to know that it's okay to play Christmas music. You know, if you want to. It's fine.
It's okay to play Christmas music.
Play Christmas music.
I don't know who he is. But all
I'm saying,
are
like,
welcome.
I'm saying that, you know, Christmas starts earlier every year. And
What
I
about
feel like,
Thanksgiving?
hey, it
I want
doesn't just.
turkey music.
Happy Hollow Thanksmas.
Thanksgiving things.
Okay, we'll have this debate later over
Yes,
treats.
over treats. There are treats, so that's good to know. Other announcements? Yes, ma'am.
The Cuba Gallery reception is next Sunday, 1 to 4, and it's from the Owl Center in Houston, Minnesota. They will have a real owl, and they have a stuffed owl, and they have a jade owl, and then probably 60 pieces of art, a lot of photography, and some original artwork by children from all over the world. That's incredible. I think some of it's way too incredible. It's just unreal. So if you are not busy, you can take a little walk down by the river and visit the exhibit from the Owl Center next Sunday.
It's on our newsletter, we'll make sure you get that. Others? Okay, well, I now invite you to take a deep, slow, gentle breath and exhale just as intentionally. Settle into this midst among each other and attempt to separate yourself from the chaos that tends to be all around us. And let us enter into a mood of meditation on this prelude, our service. I invite you to remain seated and join us in our opening words and the lighting of the chalice. Today we gather in the gentle embrace of remembrance, to honor those who have gone before us, to speak their names aloud in love, and to recognize the ways they still shape our living.
We remember with gratitude the lives that touched ours, and the love that death can never erase.
The days of the dead remind us that grief is not an enemy to be conquered, but a teacher to be welcomed. Grief shows us what we value most and calls us back to compassion, to connection, to love.
We open our hearts to grief's wisdom, its tenderness, its honesty, and its call to live more fully.
As the seasons turn and the veil between worlds grows thin, we remember that death and life dance together in the falling leaves, in the setting sun, and in the stories we carry in our hearts.
We honor the circle of life, where every ending is also a beginning, and every memory is a seed of hope.
We light our chalice today in honor of our ancestors, those of blood and of spirit, those whose laughter still echoes in our memories, those whose courage and kindness still guide our days.
This flame shines for those we have lost, and for all we love still. In their memory, may we live with open hearts. In their honor, may we walk in the light of compassion.
May this flame remind us that even in sorrow, love continues to burn bright, teaching us to cherish, to forgive, to begin again.
Grief, our great teacher, leads us not into despair, but into deeper love.
In this same spirit,
Let us light the chalice and say together,
May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal with love, to help with compassion, to bless with joy, to serve you, Spirit of freedom, in the fullness of community.
And now I invite you to join us in our opening hymn, which is number 8. Number 8, and please rise in body and or spirit.
Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, where are you? In the sky song, in the forest sounds your cry. What to give you, what to call you, what am I? Many drops are in the ocean, deep and wide. Sunlight bounces off the ripples to the sky. What to give you, what to call you, who am I? I am empty, time flies from me, what is time? Dreams eternal, fears infernal, haunt my heart. What to give you, what to call you, oh my God. Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, take our hearts. Take our breath and let our voices sing our parts. Take our hands and let us work to shape our art.
Please be seated.
This is today's beloved community moment. Friends, we pause now during our service to recognize and lift up certain members of our beloved community. This week, we wish to acknowledge those in our community who are grieving. For most of our service today, we will be honoring those who we have lost. During this moment, we honor those who are feeling a loss, or maybe even many losses. Dear grieving friends, first, we would like to apologize for any clumsy attempts at consolation that we may have made in the past or may make again in the future. We are striving to learn and do better. Please know that we honor your journey through grief, no matter what that path looks like for you. As you walk on with a limp in your heart, we will be nearby. We are willing to reach out a hand to steady you, sit and rest with you, or carry you over the roughest patches. As you struggle to adjust to this new normal, this new life without your family member, partner, or friend, we will give you the support and the space that you need. We will be a sounding board for your memories and your worries. We will not flinch or scurry away when the tears come to your eyes. We will make this a safe space for you to talk about your grief. As you endeavor to find the strength and purpose to continue living, you will remain a part of our beloved community. Take all the time that you need.
It's now the time during our service where you are invited to come forward if you feel moved to do so and light a candle while sharing a joy and or concern. And if anyone online would like that to happen, please let us know and Dawn will light a candle on your behalf. Just chime in. And at the end, I'll light a final candle for all of the joys and concerns that remain unspoken.
My best friend lost his struggle with mental illness and addiction on Sunday, last Sunday, a week from today.
We might went together because we went to Illinois for the week, or most of the week, and visited our daughter Emily, and it was awesome. We had a great time, and we will tell you more details over treats.
And I'm just very thankful for both of our children.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. So, my son and daughter-in-law are in Thailand right now. My daughter-in-law is Thai. And they work hard and save their money to go on a trip back there. For every few years they go. And so they're having a blast. They're doing everything you can't do in Minnesota. I don't know what that is. But anyway, and they have a cat. My grand cat is Felix. And Felix had surgery. They had to schedule it before they left. And he is, well, he's a prince. Maybe I've shown you this before. But anyway, because he had crystals in his bladder somewhere. And so they had to do that surgery before he left, and so he had to be confined in an area, in a bedroom, so that he's not jumping. But of course, he jumps on the bed and jumps on the dresser. Anyway, and so one of the caregivers they have took him to his checkup after 2 weeks, and he had his stitches were infected, and so they gave him an antibiotic shot, and so he's confined for another 2 weeks.
No.
And I was planning on taking him over to my house because they live in Chaska, but now I'm driving to Chaska to check on him, and it's all full of joy, and he loves me, and he's all over me when he purred the whole time I was there. I'm sure he's lonely, but anyway, so he'll manage, and I'll manage, and they'll manage, and life will go on.
Light a candle of joy. It is so happy. I'm so happy, Sue and I are so happy to be here live finally.
We're so happy to
We've
see
been
you.
watching you online, spying on you for a year and a half. Luckily, there's the internet, so it's nice to be able to come. Sue's had some issues with Parkinson's, as you know, and she last February she got a knee operation, and she's mobile again. So we've been gone all summer almost at the cabin, so we haven't been able to get here. So it's really nice to be here.
Nice.
And I'm Sherry. It's also nice to be here in person after following you online for so long. And Joy and Concern, this afternoon, I'll be participating in a volunteer activity that I've been like on a waiting list for a very long time for. And maybe I will also share more over treats. But.
This is for my Aunt Alberta, or Bert, as she is more widely known. Her COPD is worsening, and she's moved into a nursing home, at least for a time.
Well, before I conclude this with the final candle, I will share a concern and then a joy. So I light this candle first in honor of all the people who suffer from seasonal affective disorder like I do. And for me, it's doubly difficult this time of year because 21 years ago, my mom passed away while I was in my last year of seminary. And so it's very interesting and timely and coincidental that we're doing this because my preaching professor was on sabbatical, which is why I took preaching from Jeremiah Wright, which was Barack Obama's pastor, because he was our preaching professor. When my preaching professor that was the resident came back from Mexico, they did an ofrenda in the chapel and they put my mother's picture on it. So this is a very moving time for that. And then I also light the candle in joy because despite all the odds, there's a song in there somewhere, our farm has expanded and we now have a brand new delivery route that's going to go from New Brighton, Maple Grove, Minnetonka, and Chaska because we have lots of stuff. So if you need any eggs, you know who to see. And now I'll light a final candle for all the joys and concerns that remain unspoken. May we know that whatever befalls us in life, we are held in the loving embrace of this community. And now we say, for all of these joys and concerns, both spoken and unspoken,
we hold you in our hearts.
And it is a great joy now to be able to turn the service over to Jeffrey, who's going to edify us, and I'm going to take my rightful seat in the back. Take it away.
Thank you. Edification through grief. I love it. In the 5 remembrances the Buddha shared with us, I am of the nature to grow old. I cannot escape old age. I am of the nature to become ill. I cannot escape becoming ill. I am of the nature to die. I cannot escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature to change. There's no way to escape being separated from them. I cannot keep anything. I came here empty-handed. I will leave here empty-handed. My actions are my true belongings. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. They are the ground on which I stand. Grief. Death. We can't escape in some respects. Whether we try to ignore these, resist these, or accept these, death touches every life. All living things carry within them the certainty of their own ending. And whether loss comes suddenly, gradually, or remains ambiguous, it almost always brings grief. The Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore said, "Death is not the extinguishing of the light, but the putting out of the lamp, because dawn has come." Francis Weller, who wrote a very good book on grief, said, "Everything we love we will lose." Remembering our ancestors reminds us that death does not erase our place in community, it transforms it. Grief is the heart's longing for that which it yearns and the mind's attachment to what was. It takes many forms, and it arises when someone dies, or life changes, or when love falters or hope fades, or when the world around us is no longer feeling whole. And each loss asks something different of our hearts. Grief is not a problem to fix. It's a companion that walks with us through changes. To grieve is to honor love, to remember what mattered, and to keep faith with life even as it transforms. and grief transforms us and teaches us. And I'll speak a little bit more specifically about that. So I'm going to invite you to listen to what I'm going to read, and then anytime something resonates with you in terms of grief or loss or sorrow regarding things that have left you, simply raise your hand, and then you can also look around to see who else is in concert with that raising. Confusion, worry, anxiety, a visceral sense of deprivation and unfathomable pain. A helplessness that gives way to desperate thinking, a pleading mindset, and ultimately some withdrawal or malaise or lethargy, apathy, even thinking about giving up on life. Feeling jettisoned from paradise, feeling abandoned, ripped off, violated, mocked at one's level of humanity in ways that seem to break life's secret contract with us such that we understand that contract. Eventually, there can be a rebirth of hope and taking of the next trusting steps into life or back into life. Knowing that we do not have that physical connection with that thing or that person that we cared for. Does any of that register for you? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just checking.
You just went too fast, I couldn't.
I'll
Trying to
repeat
keep it at
it.
20 minutes.
I know. There are so many types of loss for which grief is very appropriate. And the handout that I've given here lists some of those losses kind of categorically. And then online, there's a way, we have a link that you can check. So thank you for
Already shared it?
Thank you so much for that. And it is an attempt to just share a range of losses that we have. And I'm going to list just a few of them because I think they're important, and then I'm going to see if you have any other ones that you would like to add. Loss of loss of physical or sexual or intellectual cognitive functioning through illness, trauma, or aging. I see the nodding heads, thank you. Loss of one's active role as child, sibling, partner, parent, including the pain of parent alienation. Raise your hand if you know what that is or what that feels like. Thank you. Or of an adult child who says, I'm done with you, I'm not going to tell you why, goodbye. No communication. Loss of felt safety and shattering of the sense that the world is trustworthy or kind. Loss of trusted family connection through neglect, narcissism, or unresolved ruptures. Loss of shared reality when social or political upheaval dissolves the sense of common truth or safety. Thank you for raising your hands. Sense of loss and ecological grief, mourning for the planet in peril, forests burning, oceans dying, species disappearing, water evaporating. Yes, thank you. Loss of a collective sense of reality during politically turbulent times. A lost sense of... Okay. Thank you. I wasn't finished, it's good. A lost sense of national unity or country connection. Thank you. Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah. Any other losses that you would like to articulate that just feel alive for you right now? We'll check in again. It's okay. No pressure. So we talk about grief. You hear the words mourning, bereavement, feeling bereft. Just a little distinction, because sometimes it's a little confusing. So mourning is the state of sorrow or mental anguish over the death or departure of a loved one. It is a state of intense grief. Bereavement means to be deprived of in terms of someone through death. So we think of bereavement as a deprivation, okay? We also have the word bereft, which sounds like bereavement. Bereft has an Old English etymological history, and that means to rob or deprive. And so it can be a feeling of loss or deflation that comes with that. There's a sense of loneliness or abandonment when we feel bereft. There's some disillusionment or existential angst and confusion. I also interject here feeling ripped off. So bereft is all of that, and I focus on the feeling ripped off. Because when you lose someone or something you love, you feel ripped off sometimes. So I just invite you to take a moment and check in with your head and heart to see if there is something or someone for which you have felt loss, mourning, bereft, bereavement. And I'll give you a moment to think about that. And I'm going to let the silence hold us with that for just a moment. And we'll be using that connection in a little bit. Loss brings invitations that are amazing. Just a few to consider. One, to either engage and say, I will be open-hearted with whatever grief I feel, or to say, I'm not ready for that, and I'm willing to face the storm of unprocessed grief that can last many years and be thrown around on the inside in my denial that I should deal with this, because I don't want to deal with that pain. So we can either engage it, or we can say, no thank you. Also, grief allows us the opportunity to process the depth of the loss ritually and with community. Lighting of a candle is a ritual. Honoring the ancestors is part of saying yes to the grief and communally being part of the expression of that grief together. In terms of the storminess and the saying, no thanks, I'm not ready, I'm going to share a brief story that I went through with that. So, February 14th, 1973, my mother was in the hospital. I hadn't seen her in days. My father comes home and says, she's gone. So, there was a funeral, but I have no working memory of being at the funeral. So, for me, didn't happen, which means she didn't die, which means I don't have to grieve. What an opportunity not to feel the pain. So the storms continued for me until I was 28, and I said, I have got to do something about this. So I went to a therapist, and she taught me how to find my grief, articulate my grief, share my grief, understand grief. And she said, let's check in with your heart. And when I connected to my heart, it was frozen. Because when I'm in denial and I don't want to deal with my pain, I can shut down my heart and it can freeze. So I took months to touch my heart, to breathe on my heart, start to massage the heart, listen to the heart, talk to the heart, let it teach me and talk to me. And through that process, it said, here's our sorrow, here's our suffering. And so I learned what was there, and I started to understand, oh, this is my way out of this grief. And it took a whole year to do that work. And at the end of the year, my therapist said, well, because you were not at the funeral, this is your chance to create a memorial service for your mother and bring your people together to do it and say goodbye. And I said, I don't think so. I don't want to do that. And she said, no more denial. So I did that. and I brought 9 people together. And where did I hold that space? I held it at the synagogue in St. Paul, where she was confirmed on the day her mother died, where she was married, and where she had a funeral service. What an appropriate place. So we had this beautiful ceremony. And afterwards we went to Diamond Lake, and there's a beautiful little deck there right next to the water. And I had a hibachi grill, so I could use her picture and throw it in there and say goodbye. And I had a robe that's really old and comfortable. And I put in extra pockets on both sides, and I took some time to write down on pieces of paper the beliefs that I held as a child that really weren't helpful. Like, oh, if I'd only been better at school and a better kid, she would have lived. And I probably contributed to her dying because I didn't do this and this and this. And I took those and I put them inside clay, and I made balls and I put them in all the pockets. Right? And then with all my friends around, I'd take one out and I said, this is for, believing blah, 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 blah. And I'd squish it. And then I'd have everybody go around and squish it. And then I'd throw it over my shoulder into the water to be done with it ritually, because I didn't need it anymore. So we did things like that. And then I took the picture and I said goodbye into the fire. And you can feel that. And then we had an Indian meal, and I gave gifts. And even though I had not slept in 3 days and I had a raging sinus infection, I had insights and psychic awareness, and I understood death as a companion to life, and I was no more afraid, ever, of death. And I was in a state of bliss for 3 days, which was absolutely beautiful. And no one had said, this may happen to you. So it was what a series of gifts. And in the process of that year, I said, well, let's see. February 14th has been a problem because I can't celebrate Valentine's Day because it's Mom's death date. So I'm going to move Mom's death date to the day I had the funeral for her memorial service, which was April 3rd. So that freed me up to have Valentine's Day just like everybody else. And then I bought a beautiful book in Italy, and I write to her every year on that date and just connect. And while I was going through that year, poets like Rumi were very helpful. So I want to share for the people who are grieving in particular, a poem I really appreciate from Rumi called The Guest House, which many of you know. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Isn't grief a guest from beyond? Isn't loss a natural gift from beyond? It was for me. So when we talk a little bit about grief, we want to acknowledge that we have praise or appreciation inside grief. What does that mean? If my life is continuing and I lose someone dear to me, my depth of my grief on a parabolic curve is going to reflect the height of my appreciation and gratitude for the connection with that person or that animal. If I don't really have connection with that person, my grief is relatively small. So the higher my praise and appreciation, the deeper my grief. So why not acknowledge what we appreciated instead of just only being in our grief? Khalil Gibran in The Prophet speaks to this. He says, when you are in sorrow, or when you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. You have felt connected, and when that is gone, when that precious connection is gone, you'll find your grief. If there's no praise or gratitude, then what are we grieving for? That which is most sacred to us will be our deepest grief. So it reflects for us how we cared and how attached and how invested we were when we feel, ouch, like our friends dying. When we grieve, we need to be like water, traveling freely and persistently in that or through the land of grief with courage and compassion. When a child is deeply hurt, an appropriate parent shows care and attentiveness and nurturance and compassion and non-judgmentalness. And we need to nurture ourselves this way when we're grieving, like the heart that is frozen. We breathe on it, we nurture it, we care for it. The parts of us that are in pain requires us to nurture ourselves. It is a natural thing to do, and it really helps the grieving process. We listen to our instincts, our dreams. We listen to our gut and our intuitions. These help us move through our grieving process. Why? Because how each of you grieves is different than others. So you have to find your way. I did it by connecting to my heart and going in and then bringing it with other people through ceremony and ritual. You'll find your way through grief. Bringing self-forgiveness is important because otherwise we fall into grief. I didn't do enough. Shame, I'm inadequate because of whatever. Doesn't really help. Just makes us feel worse when we're grieving on top of the pain of grief. Remembering a little while ago I said, think of someone or something that is no longer there and you may have grief or bereavement. So take a moment and I invite you to close your eyes, put your mind and your heart together on whatever was missing, or the person or the animal, the opportunity, the loss. Feel it. Now imagine that discomfort or your pain around that loss is like a rope burn for your hands. Something you were holding on to slipped away and burned your hand a little bit. Feel the discomfort there. And now imagine very clearly, if you can, bringing some cool water into your hands and letting it just seem to make it better, that discomfort. Maybe even a soothing balm or a lotion to rub into those hands for them to feel a little better. Maybe even a bandage that helps secure and protect what was there. We tend to our injuries of loss in our hands, trusting that the sting will lessen over time, but it requires us to attend nurturingly with care. And the water and the ointment and the bandage are ritual ways of caring for our grief in our discomforts. And eventually we can consider other parts of our body, including our hearts, that may need attentiveness in a similar way. And you can open your eyes if they're still closed. And just remember that attending to and using the mind as a metaphor, as a way to connect, speaks to the grieving and the healing. John O'Donohue, raise your hand if you know his poetry. Yes, good, thank you. This is called For Grief. And I'll close with this. When you lose someone you love, your life becomes strange. The ground beneath you gets fragile. Your thoughts make your eyes unsure. And some dead echo drags your voice down, where words have no confidence. Your heart has grown heavy with loss. And though this loss has wounded others too, no one knows what has been taken from you when the silence of absence deepens. Flickers of guilt kindle regret for all that was left unsaid or undone. There are days when you wake up happy again inside the fullness of life until the moment breaks and you are thrown back onto the black tide of loss. Days when you have your heart back and you're able to function a while until in the middle of the day or in conversation, suddenly no warning comes and you are ambushed by your grief once again. It becomes hard to trust yourself. All you can depend on now is that sorrow will remain faithful to itself. More than you, it knows its way. And you'll find the right time to pull the rope of grief until the coiled hill of tears has reduced to its last drop. Gradually, you will learn acquaintance with the invisible form of your departed. And then the work of grief is done, the wound of loss will heal, and you will have learned to wean your eyes from the gap in the air and be able to enter the hearth in your soul where your loved one has awaited your return all the while.
Thank you, Jeffrey, and thank you, Madison. This is our time for congregational reflection, and we rarely have enough time as much as we want, at least. So we'll start our discussion, and then we'll continue it over treats.
Well, I'm looking for a place to put it. I sort of have anger and annoyance at the physical illnesses and pain that my parents had to go through when they were, dying. So like I said, it was, like I said, more of the grief was more of an anger that they had to go through all that. Where did that fit into what you were saying? And some of it went kind of fast, so maybe I missed that.
I appreciate that. It is common to talk about grief which incorporates things like anger. And why wouldn't there be? If I'm in denial about my grief, why can't I be in anger? Anger is simply an expression of what feels unjustified to us. It is a form of violation on some level.
Right.
And typically, I see that anger is a secondary emotion, and if we can kind of go, yeah, I see that, but oh, there's the injustice and there's the pain underneath it. Now I'm touching into something different than anger. I don't want to be stopped by my anger, but it's instructive. It shows me what's important to me and where my values are. So it's an opportunity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I honor your anger.
Yeah.
It is a vehicle for deeper opportunity for healing in my book.
I'm wondering if what people call what used to be funerals or memorials, they call celebration of life.
Yeah.
Which is a good idea, except is that part of the denial thing?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure other people in the room may have a very, different answers to that.
Yeah.
I like the middle path, which says, let's celebrate the gifts that remember I said praise?
Yeah.
Okay, celebration of life. That doesn't take away from the grief.
Right.
It provides a structure in which I can do my grief. Some people will say, light and love, honey. Forget the grief, just do the praise and celebrate. And they will then be embraced by the storm, and later, at some point in their life, I think they're going to be like, oh, I missed the opportunity, theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, my mom had dementia, Alzheimer's, and it took 15 years. And so you had grieving the loss of when did your loss of your mom occur? At what point?
Right.
Where was it? Or did it occur over and over and over again?
Yeah.
And piling on, the way that me and my three sisters dealt with that caused enormous divisions among us, and I lost my sister. And it was just so effing messy. And I'll stop there. You've seen it probably in families.
Yeah.
When did we lose this?
Right. And I'm sure multiple people in the room have their own version of what that feels like. So I want to honor that. There's an ambiguity about where the grief started, and then I'm still in care providing mode, therefore I can't take time to really do my grieving. And they're not fully gone, but they're slowly going away. So everybody's answer to the question is going to be different. And I think the thing to do is ex post facto look back and say, I have ambiguous loss, I have anger, I have whatever I have about this. And grieving feels probably like the thing to do collectively. Variations of grief, variations of loss, just like that handout, but finding your way, like I did with my heart, to hear what it wants to say about grief is your path. And if I can support you with that in any way possible, let me know. Does that make sense? I hope that helps.
I have a quick comment. My husband died many years ago, and it wasn't until, I'm not exactly sure how to express this, but it was this congregation that was so supportive and helped me get through my grief and learning how to come home to an empty house that was so quiet, and I'm just so thankful that I had this group of dear people to help me and be supportive of me while I was going through this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry for your loss, and thank you for sharing that. And I'm so glad you have had and continue to have a community to support you. It's so important because loss and grief carry with us. They walk with us like golden retrievers at every stage of our life. So what a blessing for you, and there's praise in that, in the midst of your grief. Thank you.
As we, not that we're bringing this discussion to a close, but of course deferring it until treat time, I'll also offer that when you talked about the term bereft, something that struck me is that one of our biggest challenges in the world of grief in our culture is that people expect you to just be back on your game really quickly. And we live in such a quick-paced society, and one of the wonderful things about having community is that we are in many ways countercultural. We could let me count the ways that we're countercultural, but I think in a good way that happens with community that recognizes that we rarely have time or we rarely have permission from our culture to do that. One example that I'll share briefly before we close with our last hymn is that during the course of opening our farm, negotiated a friendship relationship, business relationship with the feed store owner, where we get all of our organic feed. And during the course of that relationship building, she suddenly lost her daughter, who was 22, who lost her struggle with mental illness very suddenly. And so I found that during that time, I was there as much as I could. But just like 2 or 3 months later, I sent her a card, and she was so thankful because she's the grief isn't over yet, but people don't recognize that I'm running a business. I know, but still, it was very rewarding to continue to support her in that.
So, I lived in Mexico for a year, and on this day in Mexico, there is, in the park, each family built an altar for the people who are no longer there, with photos and food. And then the lowest step is for the children, and the middle step for middle age, and the top step is for the oldest. And everybody knows that that's going to happen on that day every year.
Yes.
And so it was such a joyous time. It was like a party, and it was just so undescribable that, you know, compared to how we shut it down and don't want to dig into it. And it was the best experience, I think, in my life.
Beautiful. Dia de los Muertos, Mexico.
Dia de los Muertos.
What we don't speak to, we don't understand. What we don't understand, we fear. What we fear, we destroy. Death is one of those things that we tend to push away because we don't understand it and we don't want to speak to it and we're afraid of it.
Yeah.
Until we're not.
Yes. And then there's the picnics in the
Cemetery?
Cemetery, thank you. And you know, they're on the grave and having a picnic,
Yeah.
and Father said a mass.
And look at the symbolism. Can we still be fed by the ones we loved? Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you again, Jeffrey.
My pleasure.
And we'll be around to be able to continue discussion. I invite you now to rise in body and or spirit and join us in our closing hymn, which is number 18.
Heart
takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down, beneath my sorrow's ground, and takes me gathered round. Oh my soul, oh my soul, friends to me gathered round. Oh my soul, to love and to all friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end, I will sing, I will sing. With thanks unto the end, I will sing.
Please be seated.
May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the grace of the ocean be yours, and may the protection of the ancestors be yours. May your losses breathe new life into your heart, so that you feel grateful and receptive to all that life brings you. May life continue to nurture you into new levels of thriving, so your soul may be overjoyed. May your heart's eventual joy beat as intensively as the hummingbird's wings, yet with a courage that beats like the mighty wings of the mythological like the mythological firebird who owns the skies. Because it's time we learn to fly now.
May we go forth and have treats together and have a wonderful set of conversations, I'm hoping.